All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. So we have a rather serious topic to talk about, which is the health issues that Kamaru Usman has been facing. And this is according to Eric Albaraz. I'm butchering his last name, but it's Cejudo's his coach, like Cejudo's coach. He's always got the crazy glasses on. He's kind of like one of the most famous people that you don't generally get to hear talk very much. But I'm going to show you guys a clip of him talking about Kamaru Usman's brain health that he had concerns about. And then you got to see, then you had Anthony Smith and Michael Bisping talking about Kamaru Usman's knees. Now, there had been rumors floating around all over the place going into this fight about Kamaru Usman's knees. And these guys shared some information that, in my opinion, was like, whoa, I had no idea it was like that. I honestly didn't, And, it's basically like the difference between guys who actually are behind the scenes training with people who know about a guy's status of critical infrastructure in their body, like their knees, versus people like me who are watching primarily on television. You know what I mean? So we're going to talk about those things because apparently Kamaru Usman was dealing with some really heavy health issues. And I think this is really important, not just as we look back on the Leon Edwards fight, but primarily looking forward at the rest of Kamaru Usman's career. Because, there are some people who are going to be like, oh, Kamaru Usman's washed. And then there are people like me who are like, no, I don't think that he is washed. But it's still like, let's evaluate how serious a contender he's going to be when you look at the people who are up and coming and so on and so forth. And like who he would have to beat to be right back in the mix for a title shot. So that's what we're going to talk about right now. Now, if you guys have not subscribed yet, please do that. It helps me immensely, What's like another metaphor for this where it's like, hey man, like I'm telling you, the cost is you subscribe to the channel. That's what it costs to watch my content. It's free, but like just do the right thing and just click the button. Almost everybody does it, but I still have like 40% of people who like just watch and then they don't click. I mean, well, it's more like 35%, but still don't be in the 35% that watches my stuff and doesn't subscribe. It's super mean, dude. It's like, you don't have to watch, dude. Just if you're going to, just subscribe. You know what I mean? Handshake. I give you my word. I will try to make the videos as awesome as possible for you guys every single time. I'm not doing it. Like if I aggravate you, I promise I'm not doing it on purpose. I don't do that anymore. So anyway, basically you look at the welterweight division, which is one of the most interesting, divisions in the UFC. And there are a lot of very interesting matchups. Now I did a video about this on my other channel, Jesse on Fire after hours. And, it's really long and I put music behind it, whatever. Might be your guys' taste, might not. But one of the things that's central to that, to that video is who is Kamaru Usman going to fight next? Because that has tremendous impact on the division because it's a tough battle. I don't care who's fighting him. That's a really, really tough matchup to get through. Really tough. Really, really tough matchup to get through. And so whoever they match up with, Kamaru, it's one of those things where like, hey, if you want to go to the next level, you got to get through this guy. Now, I said that was probably going to be Belal Muhammad, but I just heard Dana say that they're going to put Belal Muhammad with Shavkat Rakhmonov. And that's the exact same thing. It's the exact same fight, in terms of like why the UFC would do it. It's like, hey, you want to make it to the big time? You're not marketable yet. You got to beat one of the toughest guys that nobody wants, which would be Kamaru or Shavkat, right? But regardless of who it ends up being, we got to know what we're dealing with Kamaru, right? And so you got two things. You got his brain, which is what Eric was talking about, and then you got his knees, which is what Bisping and Anthony Smith were talking about. So the brain thing, right out of the gate. So Eric thought that Kamaru did not take enough time off given the knockout that he took. Now, I'll be honest, I don't have enough experience on the other side. I really don't think that you can tell that much about a guy's brain just from watching the actual live events, unless they very easily get knocked out. That's not really where you could see it, because a guy can look a little slower. His response time could be a little bit slower, but that can be a lot of different things. That's not necessarily his brain, right? Now, if you see a guy that just keeps on getting knocked out, that also might not necessarily be their brain. Could be damage in their spine, could be a bunch of different stuff. And so you really need to like look to the experts to know. I don't really have enough experience to know how long is the right amount of time off after getting head kicked, knocked out, eyes open, 20 minutes lost time. I don't know. I was at the fight in Utah. I don't remember exactly. I believe it was in like November, right? Is that right? November? So this really isn't that long, dude. Like it really is not that long. So I don't really have a strong opinion on that. I just know that guys close to him were concerned that he didn't take enough time off.
You know what? I was also really interested in this fight. It's a rematch. It's for a world title. We've been in these situations before. Henry Cejudo versus Demetrius Johnson, but Henry took off 2 years. Henry traveled the world. It wasn't a headshot, so he didn't need to allow his brain to heal, but I think that was part of it. He was anchored so on defending that shot, and I was saying it the whole fight on Henry Cejudo's channel. He set all those body shots were all to set up that headshot. And you know what? He hit it, but thank God Kamaru stopped that one, but he didn't stop the rest of the kicks. And I think we were so focused on stopping the head kick that a lot of other things opened up. A little bit more time to heal his brain. You know, also Patricio Pitbull versus AJ, also a head kick, but he didn't get knocked out. He was still standing. And that he still took 10 months off before the rematch. So sometimes, I wish he would have got a couple of fights in before he fought Leon again. Maybe now he can do that. I still think that the nightmare is a severe problem for anybody. The Usman era is not over. He will be back.
On the knees, though. On the knees. That's different, dude. Right? That is very different. So apparently, you know, Bisping and Anthony Smith are saying that it is a completely known fact that Kamaru's knees are shot, that he can't run anymore.
As Bisping and Anthony Smith react to Kamaru Usman's second loss to Leon Edwards, Bisping says he respects Usman but believes that Usman will never win another UFC title. Anthony Smith says that Kamaru's body has taken a lot of damage during his reign as champion and that Kamaru's knees are completely shot.
Kamaru, and again, I want to be so respectful because I have so much respect. You know, he was definitely motivated. He was talking about how disrespectful Liam was being and that the word he kept mentioning was violence. He wanted to get he wanted to get violent with this man. He felt that he discredited him and all the rest. So he had a tremendous amount of motivation. And I think Kamaru looked a little slow, looked a little flat. You know, it certainly wasn't the best performance. And I think he'd agree with that. So, yeah, I don't know if we'll ever see Kamaru as a champion again. Let's say that. Let's put it like that.
You know,
he's 36 and his knees are shot.
That's where I was going with this. Especially, I don't know how much of the general public understands, and I don't want to kind of put his business out there, but kind of everyone as fighters knows. We all know that Kamaru is I'm trying to think of a respectful way of saying this. He's been holding that belt much less than 100%. So he can't run. His knees are shot. You can see in the way that he walks sometimes that he's had years of combat sports. It's years and years and years of wrestling, and he was a really physical, aggressive, athletic wrestler. He wasn't the super smooth guy that was stayed out of the fire. He was in the fire. Then a long fight career, lots of title fights. That's 6 or 7 world title fights. You know what I mean? That's a lot. When he won it, the 5 defenses, and then this one. It's just a lot. And so he's not young. He's not old, but he's got a lot of miles. And so he's been through a lot of shit. And it did look like you're right. He looked a little bit slow. He was a little bit behind. It seemed like his mind was there. He was seeing everything. He just wasn't reacting quite as quickly, a little bit flat, maybe with some of the travel, maybe he had a bad weight cut, or maybe it's just, Father Time's just slowly catching up with him.
Okay. He can't do road work anymore. His knees are that wrecked. Now, I will tell you this. I have a couple friends, right? Now, me being at the, very advanced stage, I'm not as old as Bisping, but I'm not, that far off. But, so in that kind of age range where you've seen athletes go through their entire, their whole life cycle, right? And so while not a professional athlete, but an athlete that has seen a lot of stories go all the way through, and Kamaru being a guy who trains super hard and fights really hard, listen, look at this behind the scenes look I'm giving you guys. So I just really quick wanted to tell you guys about Thrive Fantasy and Gold Jiu-Jitsu. I'm not getting paid for either of these, okay? So Thrive Fantasy, you get to bet live betting, like prop betting in Texas and California, you cannot sports bet, and yet you can on Thrive Fantasy. The link is, well, actually, you know what? The best way to do it is just download the app, Thrive Fantasy. Use the promo code FIRE when you sign up. And when you make a deposit, they will double your deposit. It really helps the channel out. And also, you get to sports bet. So if you want to check and see if your state is good to go on Thrive Fantasy, download the app, Thrive Fantasy. Use promo code FIRE or Jesse. It doesn't matter, whichever one, when you create your account. And then they will double your deposit. And you'll be helping the channel, and you'll get to sports bet, dude. Make a $10 deposit, dude. They'll double it. Make a $100 deposit. They'll double it. And then Gold BJJ is the best jiu-jitsu gear on earth. And the link is in the description. It is my absolute favorite. I wear it every single day. That's just the truth. Love you guys. Check them both out. Peace. This I can tell you. I have a couple buddies that are in their early to mid 40s who, they're older than me, but nonetheless, train so hard. These guys these are like the guys that you always look to when you're younger. You're like, man, this guy is unreal. He just, like, I'm actually talking about a very specific person. Okay. His name's Bill. He is actually, if you were like, who's your favorite person on earth? It's probably Bill, dude. It is probably Bill. He's one of the best guys in the world. Super successful, professional, and also just an insane athlete. He does jits. He's really serious about jits. But all throughout his entire, martial arts career and every other thing that he's ever done, he's like one of those guys that goes so hard. And when you look at him, you're like, how could this guy be in his 40s? Like, how could he be? He's like in his mid to late 40s. He looks like he's 32 on the outside. He's also Asian, which helps, dude. They always look super young and good. But he looks super fit, looks super young. But if you know him, you know his body is falling apart, dude. Like it's falling apart. His elbow, both his knees, they have no cartilage left. None. Like, he's definitely going to need 2 knee replacements. And again, you look at him, you watch him move, you're like, man, this guy's grit. His knees are shot. Definitely needs knee replacements. And it's because he trains so hard. He always trains so hard. He's one of these guys that loves the suck. Like people, like for me, I do the suck. Like, I do it. I don't like it though, dude. Like, I don't like it. It's, we're doing, you get done with a round and you're like, oh my God. And they're like, all right, one more round, switch partners, 6 more minutes. You're like, oh my God. And you do it, but it sucks, man. He's one of these like lunatics that likes it. He like genuinely enjoys that feeling of suffering when you're training, which is awesome. But guys like that who live in the suck, their bodies fall apart. And so Kamaru is a body falling apart, knees falling apart guy. If he can't do road work and he's 36 years old, that's not good, dude. Now, when you really think about fighting in the cage, it's like, yeah, dude, all you have to do is perform at a high level for 25 minutes. It's not that long, dude. You can get through knee problems for 25 minutes. But, of course, you're not going to be performing at 100%. Of course. If you can't do road work, okay, like if your knees are so shot that you can't run, okay, you can't run, how are you expected to perform at a 100% level? And apparently he has not been at 100% for a long time. And still he has been dominant in the division. And so what I honestly think is you really need to look at the matchups. You really need to look at the matchups. Because if he has matchups that are favorable where he's likely to land punches on him, then he might be the most powerful puncher in the division. You know what I mean? If you really think about it, like if you were like, which fighter would you least want to end up on the wrong side of a fully out snapped cross? It's Kamaru. And I was saying this during the fights, dude. Like when he throws a punch and misses, where you get to see the full extension. Wow, it's not so much when he lands where you get to see it. It's when he misses. You know what I mean? Because when he lands, the end of the punch is the impact. When he misses, you really get to see the snap on the end of that punch, right? Because like people go like this, it's like the power of like from here versus the whap, like that just last bap is you're talking double power. You know what I mean? People who really are good at that last snap at the end, that whip at the very, very end. Conor, incredible at that. That's why Conor, like when he knocks guys out, it doesn't look like he's throwing punches super fast or hard, but it looks like they get struck by lightning when he hits them, Not necessarily, not this Conor that fought Dustin, who was throwing a lot of boxing hooks. Karate Conor, the guy who's fighting Eddie Alvarez, where he's throwing those long straight punches and they don't look like they're coming that fast. But again, when he touches them, they literally look like they got struck by lightning. Like they look like they just can't even wrap their brain around how someone hit them that hard. It's because, that's not how you punch hard. Whap, that snap, dude. Bang at the end. Bang. You turn it over and snap it like a whip. And guys, it's like boom. And Kamaru does that really well. Really, really well. And he's long, dude. He's super long and really knows how to use his length. Again, that's another reason why. So I was actually, I super chatted Faraz Zahabi last night. And I asked him who he favored if Masvidal fought Burns and he was able to keep the fight standing, right? And he said it favors Masvidal. And he was like, when you look at Burns, he's got a good chin, but he got knocked down by a Kamaru jab, which just means like he doesn't have the best chin. Right? Like he doesn't have the best chin if he was able to get knocked down by the jab, which is, obviously like an accurate statement. But I will also reiterate, I'm not going to throw it with this injured arm. Same thing though. That's not a normal jab, dude. He's got that jab and then whap, bang at the end. And it just changes things, dude. If he lands that thing clean, you're in trouble, dude. And so if he's able to land that on people, I think he's got a good shot. But what we're actually talking about when it comes to Kamaru is like the top of the division guys. He broke Colby's fucking jaw, dude. He broke his jaw, which is crazy. And then, and then Colby fought through that. Everything about that is amazing, dude. You know what I mean? The fact that he was able to break his jaw, given how much Colby had talked, is amazing. The fact that Colby fought through that is amazing. I'm excited to watch Colby fight. I don't care what anybody says. But yeah, this is just one of those things where I'm an MMA fan, UFC fan. What Kamaru does next is a huge issue. And these data points are important, right? Now, he didn't take any head trauma against Leon Edwards. That's really good news, right? Like if people are concerned about his brain, the good news is against Leon, he didn't take any head trauma, right? He got his ass beat to the body, dude. He got his ass beat to the body. He took a knee to the head. He took a couple shots, but he didn't take anything really super heavy. He got beat down to his body and his legs. And then he wasn't able to have a lot of effective offense against Leon. That's why he lost the fight. He didn't lose because he got tattooed to the dome a lot. So, I think if we're talking about his health, the concern has to be around his knees, it sounds like, So it's something to look for. I'm rooting for him, dude. I think it's great to have Kamaru in the mix. And, when you consider, it's like, so now is Kamaru going to become another title contender, or is he like the top gatekeeper? And his next fight is going to determine that. His next fight will determine whether he is a high-level elite gatekeeper or he's going to jump right back in the mix for another title shot. Because bottom line is, if you really think about it, he lost twice, got it. Right? And people are saying like, why is Colby get a title shot when he lost to Kamaru twice and Leon just beat Kamaru twice? It's like, guys, relax, okay? Kamaru was going to beat Leon and then he just got caught with one shot in the second fight. In the third fight, he just wasn't able to take Leon down, and Leon, beat him up to the body and legs and made his wrestling, ineffective. It's not like he got his ass handed to him. And by the way, Leon has won like 100 fights in a row. Okay, because that Bilal Muhammad fight, I don't care what anybody says. Yeah, it was a bad thing that he poked in the eye. Leon was handily winning that fight. And Bilal is awesome. And he made Bilal look slow, right? Leon is nasty, dude. So bottom line is this, like, Kamaru, again, I always fall into this where it's like, why are people saying these guys are washed just because they lost? They lost, like, again, Masvidal lost to the top guy in the world and then lost to the second top guy in the world. He's washed. How do you think he would have done against the fifth best guy, sixth best guy, seventh best? You know what I mean? It's like, that doesn't necessarily show you anything. Kamaru lost two fights. He lost this last one to Leon, not because he got completely dominated. He just couldn't put an effective offense together. And in the last one, he was beating him handily, and then he just got a head kicked. So anyway, it'll be really interesting to see. I'm rooting for him because I think that he is excellent for the sport. He's a hard worker, and I think that his what he represents in the sport is hard work equaling great outcomes. But hard work leads to shattered knees. Not shattered, you know what I mean. Anyway, that's what I got. Good luck to everybody. I love you guys. Peace.